Welcome everybody. Super excited to do this today. The first day of GeNFT Weekly and the first show. This is going to be a Twitter space, we hope weekly, around generative art on Tezos. We want to highlight artists that we feel may not be getting as recognized as they should. And we also want to tell stories of generative art. We feel that while we love generative art, it can often be hard to understand the context and the story around it. And while the artist we have today is by no means a small artist, we feel that this would be an amazing way to start the show and to start our journey because of the work that our guest does today. Just a bit about myself. I work in crypto, and I collect a lot of NFTs, and I'm a very big fan of generative art. And yeah, I'm super excited. Going to pass it to Alexandra.
Thanks for the intro. Hi, everyone. For those that don't know me, I work in digital arts, gaming, and Web3. And I've launched Electric Artifacts middle last year with a focus on curating art online. And with the advent of NFTs, became a proponent of the space. And I was writing about AI art for many years now and been interested in the space. And it was really exciting to see how this year it was picked up. We worked from, I would say, like the first week with Hiccups Nook. And it was really sad to see sort of the platform go down the way it did. But we discovered so many artists. And when fxhash sort of came about, I had the same feeling as I had when I first started discovering works on Tezos. And that feeling was something that I wanted to preserve and share with as many people as possible. And I think what Ciphrd created is sort of like running ahead of us being able to keep up with it because there's so many amazing projects. So we just want to do our parts and being able to highlight them. So today, perfect opportunity to do so. We're going to have questions in the end. And Ciphrd, I would like to pass on the word to you, and maybe for those of you that haven't been in your previous spaces, if you could introduce yourself and how this all came about.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for introductions. So I'm Ciphrd. I think I created fxhash. I'm a generative artist. I've been doing that for 5 years now. I've been programming for about 12, 13 years. I don't know exactly. I've been into programming for all my life, for all I can remember. Yeah, I created fxhash because I wanted a generative artist who couldn't have the opportunity to share their work and make some money out of it and have a support for it. Yeah, that's the beginning of the story.
Awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about why you decided to choose Tezos as a platform, and then also like if you could go a little bit deeper into like when you transitioned from programming to creative programming, and if even a little bit before that, if you could kind of define generative art for us.
Well, so I guess these are 3 different questions. So basically, I'm going to quote Wikipedia on that for the definition of generative art, but generative art is, I think, any art that is produced in a part or wall using autonomous systems. I think this definition is pretty clear. Yeah, and for me, it's exactly that. It's you define some rules. You're the master of the rules. You are the god of your little creation, and you create this universe and how the components within the universe interact together. And I think that's what attracted me in the first place in generative art. Like I come from a developer background. I've been doing a lot of C and some low-level development. And when I discovered that you could use programming to like basically create interactive worlds through video games, I was quite amazed because I think that I got into generative art by going through the development of video games. And I enjoyed so much like defining those rules. But the thing is, video games are pretty much centered around the player. You have to design a program that needs to interact with the player. And I like that, but it creates some heavy constraints to what you're building. Because either you want to build your video game for a particular type of player, for yourself, for I don't know, many players, for casual players. So you have to design your program so that it can be used by those people using game design rules that are well implemented and well known in the by the people. And when I discovered that I could like derive a lot from those rules and I don't know, not use them at all and produce algorithms where the players are both me as a creator, as an artist, and the little entities that live within the world I'm creating. Like there's been sort of an enlightenment because I removed big constraints that I did not know I didn't like. I'm not sure that you will see what I mean, but like when I knew that I couldn't design for anybody in particular, that and that my visual could be the work in itself, I was I felt in love, and yeah, and then I discovered that it was a well-established practice with a lot of algorithms, a lot of ideas, a lot of artists. And what I like about it, it's every day you find a little video on YouTube from someone you didn't know, probably someone that actually doesn't know that they're doing some form of generative art. They're like, I don't know, creating a little program to see their little entities evolving in the space. And this is like generative art in essence. And you discover this little rhythm that you didn't know about, and you're like super amazed, and you want like to create your own version, iterate, and put your own ideas in it. And well, it's a never-ending experience, and I quite like it.
Amazing.
And there were a last question, I think.
Sorry, I guess fast forward to why you chose Tezos as the platform to eventually, like, well, I know you created a work on ETH, and then you started to make work on Tezos, and then you created fxhash. I'm just curious what brought you to Tezos as a platform.
Yeah, so basically, GeNFT did. They started the flame, you know, for a lot of us. When I discovered NFT like 1.5 years ago, like everybody else, I was like, okay, what is this shit again? What the fuck is that? Where is it? Where are we going again? And then I thought a little bit about the idea, and I said, okay, definitely interesting. There is some conceptual stuff within NFT itself that makes it a very interesting technology. But I didn't think that much about it. Like I had other projects to think about. And about 8 months ago, yeah, I decided to give it a try. So I didn't know about GeNFT at the time being. So I went for I would say the best looking platform that I could find, which was a foundation. And I tried to post something, only to discover that well, the cost to put something online. Well, we won't go into those details, but there are the high cost to do that. And moreover, I learned just a little bit after, when I was digging a little bit into the technology, that Ethereum was still in proof of work, that it was absolutely inefficient, and that some other alternative existed. I didn't look into those alternatives. I just said, okay, this is for later. I'll see in a year or so. And then I saw a lot of artists posting GeNFT stuff in there, and those were artists that I liked a lot. So it took me some time to finally have the time to dig into it. And when I opened GeNFT for the first time, yeah, something clicked, and I think it did for a lot of us. It was a special place. Like it wasn't some polished stuff like you could find on a Foundation, on a Rarible, or platforms like that, where everything is really clean. It was really rough. This was raw content, and you have the ability to like join the party for almost no cost, because minting costs were really low. So there were a lot of artists posting from really different background, and the open idea between Iket Nunk like really struck me. I didn't realize that it struck me at first, but a few months later I realized it. And yeah, that's when I discovered Tezos and fell in love with the community rather than the technology. And a little afterward, I started to like the technology as well.
Well, thanks for the series of answers. It was quite a wholesome question, but I think for all of us, it's really interesting to learn the background, what brought you to Tezos, and today also remarkably Wearable has introduced Tezos on their platform, so it'd be interesting to see how that is picked up as well. You mentioned that there are YouTube videos and different tutorials. What I'm really curious about is sort of also your arts journey, and many of us know that GeNFT collection that you published, and I would be really curious to hear more about the story behind it as your sort of inaugural collection on the platform. If you could tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so the RGB automata is quite at the opposite of what I'm doing as an artist usually. I'm rather interested in algorithms from which lifelike behaviors can emerge. So, for instance, clusters from Ciphrd that we've seen on the platform quite recently is a good example of that. You have some rules and you can see some sort of life emerging from it. And I'm really into that as an artist. Like, try to design weird rules and really fun behaviors between particles and stuff like that, so that some behaviors can emerge from it. And I've been working around this concept for the last, I think, 3 years. And cellular automatons, I like the idea. I've read the New Kind of Science from Stephen Wolfram, which is like an amazing book, and like it opened my mind about a lot of concepts. And I wanted to pay a little tribute to this person that I respect a lot. Stephen has made impressive progress in the field of science in the last 20 years, and the cellular automata is just an example of that. And I wanted to capture a little bit that when I designed the piece. But to be quite honest, I also wanted to create a piece that could demonstrate what the platform could do very easily. And I had many other ideas for more complex algorithms, but the thing is that it will take me too much time to design those. So I waited for a little strike of, I don't know if we can call that genius, not genius, but the idea that strikes you, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. It fits perfectly. And one day I got the idea for RGB, and I said to myself, oh, it could do great. Oh, I must do it. And it was born like 2 hours later.
That's amazing. I'm going to actually post a link so that everybody can see an link that shows the RGB collection, as well as you can also click into the works that Ciphrd has created on Hen, and they're more so what Ciphrd was describing in what Ciphrd finds fascinating and how that is incorporated into generative art. So I want to pivot actually and talk a little bit about fxhash and just I've been on a space with you before and I've heard you talk about it, but I just want everybody to hear who maybe has not, and just like some statistics that I see, because I use fxhash daily. There's been in just over a month, there's been over 170,000 mints from artists that have been collected by collectors. There's the daily secondary volume is often bigger than the biggest collections on object, like by significant amounts. And I just, if you could, I'm just curious as to like what you've thought of, or how you've, yeah, like how, like what you think of all this, because it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, so 1 month ago, I would never thought that there will be such an exponential growth and such interest from the community. Like, basically, I designed a tool that I wanted for myself as an artist, but it seems like many other people wanted such a tool to exist, both artists and also collectors, because, well, there is quite an interesting concept in collecting generative art. And yeah, I truly didn't expect that to happen. And I'm still like trying to wrap my mind around everything that's happening, because it's quite new. And I'm first of all so happy to see all these people that I've admired for a long time as artists suddenly popping on the platform and posting their stuff. And like it, every time, I've said it a lot of time, but every time that I see something popping on the platform, it's like a little present at the bottom of the tree. I'm so happy about it. I wish I could have more time to dig into each work individually and learn a little bit more what's behind it, but unfortunately I don't have time, so I'm just like enjoying the wrap around the present, and I'm just so happy to see all these people gathering around generative art. But yeah, I don't think that I have enough recoil. I'm not sure that it translates exactly in English, but I didn't give enough thoughts about yeah, how crazy all of it is.
It's really amazing, and just not from a collector's perspective, to be able to collect work from hundreds of artists at a and just like absolutely amazing artists a very at a very reasonable price, like is extremely special, especially being able to collect the work without having to pay insane gas fees. It's something that I cherish, and I think, and yeah, I think many other collectors and many other artists cherish as well. Is I mean, I know I there's another platform, Artblocks, which has sort of a similar mechanism of sharing generative art, but I feel that sometimes it can be gated in a way because there's so many amazing generative artists out there, but they just don't have the voice or ability to create and make art. And like fxhash has basically created this platform that anybody can join. There's no barriers to entry, and the work speaks for itself based on the merit of the work, and it's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy that you're saying that, because it was the initial intent behind the platform. The goal is to remove all those gates that prevent artists from posting their work, both from a technical standpoint, because for instance, on art blocks, you're limited by the storage space. It costs a lot. You're limited by a few technologies. So I tried to remove those barriers, those technical barriers, and also the Tezos blockchain offers the ability for anybody to be able to post their work quite easily. And last but not least, no curation. It's free for everybody to enter. And I think it's all these three components that make the core of the platform. And I really want to keep those components at the core, so that this never changes. And I think it's quite important for the whole community to have tools that are as open as possible and as transparent as possible. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. Alexandra?
Yeah, you mentioned, well, actually, I wasn't sure if we should bring it up because Wallace Life mentions that there was a curation token proposal, but now you're saying that you don't want curation. Maybe could you address that a little bit more in terms of, yeah, how do you see it?
Yeah, so when I said no curation, I was talking about traditional curation models. where the entry itself has a gate. Like you can't post if you don't go through this curation gate.
Like
so this
gatekeeping.
Yeah, exactly. So this will not change. Everybody will always be able to post their work. But what I want to implement is a curation driven by community, where each group of people, let it be 1 or 100, can curate their own work within the platform and select from the pool of works that are available. So the pool to which everybody has access.
I see. So users will be able to create their own collections and potentially to also vote for the artworks they like. But yeah, no gatekeeping on the platform, which completely makes sense. I think in the space, it's often this confusion between gatekeeping and curating, and yeah, while one is a barrier, the other is empowering. You mentioned that you're really busy. Are there any that you collect yourself, or artists that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, sure. Myself quite addicted to collecting on the platform. I've been collecting a lot of the works. Yeah, so I unfortunately often don't have time to collect properly, but here and then I have 1 hour when I'm free to browse a little bit while the platform is open, and yeah, I profit from these hours. Like I collect a lot, and I have pretty big collections of a lot of artists that I like a lot. Also, I like to browse and try to find artworks that didn't reach how to say that, like they didn't have an amazing success, like it wasn't fully minted out in 1 hour. And I like to see those hidden gems, because there are quite a lot of interesting algorithmic pieces that are probably not as beautiful as the others. So it's they receive less interest because it's probably less flashy to the eye. And I like to try find those works on the platform. But most of the time, when I'm browsing, it's when it's closed, because when it's open, there is always stuff to handle. So most of the time, I'm not able to mint those works, but I'm quite enjoying just seeing them being alive.
That's awesome.
Just want to add, many have maybe watched Squid Games, and the first game is when the big doll sort of turns around, and then it turns back again, and it turns around and it turns back again, and sometimes it's almost like this feel, when you open and close the gate for minting, and everyone is sort of like rushed to mint, and then quickly stops. Could you just maybe mention where did this concept of gate opening and closing come about? Because yeah, none of the other platforms that we're maybe familiar, like most of us are familiar with, use it. So maybe if you could just share a bit more where that came about.
Yeah, I think we can safely say that it came out of chaos. When the platform reached some growth at the beginning, when there was a lot of growth at the beginning, my system was simply unable to handle all of these people minting stuff. So I came really quickly with the idea of shutting everything down for a period of time to have the system cool off a little bit and process what has been minted. And yeah, I was enjoying those rest times. I was able to sleep a little bit better, knowing that if something went wrong, it wouldn't impact much the platform, and I could recover it quite quickly the next day. And yeah, for some reason, as this system was kept in place to ensure the platform was working, we started to think about should the system be kept like that? And as it turned out, it was quite interesting to have this system working, especially on a generative art platform where there is a lot of works that can be minted, and you need some time to properly understand what you've been minting, to see if you like it, see if you want to sell it. You maybe want to browse the marketplace a little bit more peacefully, knowing that you won't miss some works because it's closed. And we realized that it was working quite well. Like it was working for the artist on the secondary market, but it was also quite enjoyable as an experience. I personally enjoyed it a lot for the resting time that it could offer me. But I know that some artists were also enjoying it because they could prepare more peacefully their work and release it and prepare the release, knowing that there will be some collectors waiting for it. And yeah, the more we thought about it, the more it made sense to keep this system in place. And when this idea came to be really strong, I started to think about how could this system be extended to more subsystems of the platform. So, for instance, the distribution of the tokens, for instance, limitations for artists, and well, many other subsystems. And I realized that it was quite interesting to design the platform in that way. And I'm also going to enjoy a lot building this specific feature into the smart contracts, because it's going to be like really fun technically. And I feel like I love, to create something that is quite organic. I think that's something I've always enjoyed, and it's quite surprising that it can work on something as a marketplace, and yeah, something that works on the blockchain.
That's amazing. I actually pinned up because you were asked on a previous space what's your favorite artist on the platform were, and understandably you're not going to to say which ones were your favorites, but I did a little digging through your collection to see what you have minted, and I was hoping we could just briefly touch on them. I tried to choose a range of what I thought would be interesting, but the most recent one I pinned is counting on one or more hands, not yet minted out. Actually been fortunate to mint a couple, and I was just curious as to why you chose to mint that. The second I pinned is Reading a Book by Kim Assendorf. Kim Assendorf is an amazing generative artist. I was just curious. You also have referenced Kim in one of your pieces on Hicketnunk. I was just curious what's special about Kim for you. And then lastly, there's a piece called Earth by Jeffrey Ventrella. And you've tweeted about Ventrella before, and I'm just curious what about Ventrella specifically inspires you?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to start with Jeffrey Ventrella. I'm an absolute fan of his work, and it's one of his work is called Clusters, and it's quite elegant on a conceptual standpoint. Like it's a really simple system from which some amazing behavior emerge, and yeah, I've been digging through the system. I've been using it in my work in different ways, and yeah, Jeffrey has been like an inspiration on so many levels, and on clusters in particular. And yeah, when I saw his name pop on the platform, I thought to myself, okay, nice. There is another copy minter on the on the streets. We have to shut it down. And when people on the Discord started to tell me, no, this is truly Jeffrey, I've never been such a kid. I was so happy about it. Like I couldn't believe my eyes that one of my favorite artists and one of my inspirations posted on the platform. And yeah, so when Jeffrey minted their work, I honestly wanted to mint a lot from it, like 10 or 20, but I thought, okay, I need to let everybody have their own piece. It's important. That's something I maybe had done less on on Circus of Life, because he posted clusters, which is probably my favorite algorithm. And yeah, I clicked the mint button a lot for this particular work because I really like this piece and it's been so important for me. And about Kim, I actually discovered Kim's work on Hicketnunk, so quite late. And I loved how much different experiments Kim was doing. There were a lot of different pieces with different conceptual ideas. And in particular, there were one where collectors were basically stuck in this on the screen on the piece itself, And when I discovered the piece, I was like, wow, this is opening a lot of possibilities to have like collectors themselves being the part of the piece and have this long-lasting and evolving piece of art that relies on how the collectors interact with it. So I started experimenting a little bit around this idea. I did a piece which is called a collections of collectors, and when you collect the piece once, you become forever a part of the piece, and when you sell it, you create another branch, and the piece is supposed to evolve over time based on the transactions and how it changes wallet and stuff like that. And I experimented a little bit more about having collectors stuck within the piece itself, and it was quite funny. And yeah, Kim, yeah, I like his work a lot, and it's been also an inspiration, less than Ciphrd because it was less on my field, I would say, but quite interesting nonetheless. And I can't remember the first one that you said.
It was counting on one or more hands. It's by Vellum. It's in the link I pinned, but yeah.
Yeah, you remember. You know, I love the fact that there are some pieces like they are absolutely different from all the others you can see. And I think the first piece that struck me like that was the one from PressTube, because it was like this crazy, I don't know, organisms interacting with each other with an animation that was really organic and fluid. And I think this piece is also in the same, a little bit in the same style. Like it's really different from everything else you can find on the platform. And I really like to find this type of piece, you know, something that is using the technology that is available, so the browser, in some unexpected ways. And I think, yeah, that's why I chose to pick counting on one or more ends because yeah, it spoke to me. I like this original idea, seeing the rotoscopy being used in such a way and a funny manner, like it did something to me. And yeah, I've been experimenting also with using the web and the DOM itself as an input for the generative pieces. I have a lot of work that is still on my computer that relies on this concept. And yeah, I like to find this type of pieces that goes a little bit out of the canvas and try different stuff using the different technologies available with browsers.
Awesome. That's amazing to hear this insight. Yeah, I don't get to hear this ever, so I'm such a fanboy right now. But yeah, yeah, we have like one more question, and then we wanted to open it up to anybody in the audience that had questions. Alexandra.
Yeah. No, I'm also in awe because this is exactly what we wanted to achieve, and just you talking and describing every single collection with a personal touch to it was wonderful. So one thing that we wanted to cover, and many of us maybe had this experience, is obviously copy minters and bad actors, and how are you finding addressing this issue?
And also just like what are the best things that collectors can do to safeguard themselves as well?
Yeah, so currently the best thing to do is probably to be on Discord at the same time and see for the alerts from the community, because people became really reactive when it comes to detecting copy minters or fake accounts. And they instantly post on Discord when they find one, and usually they look at the live feed, so they don't rely on the front end of the platform that is sometimes quite slow. So they trigger the alerts rapidly. And to address copy minting, it's quite difficult when you can't update the smart contracts because then you have to design systems to like work around what's currently built and stored immutably on the chain. So I built some tools to give moderators the ability to remove some work from the front end, flag it as undesirable content. And also recently, we had a really particular case that required me to implement the ability to ban profiles so that when they will post something, it will automatically be flagged as malicious content and it wouldn't reach the front end of the platform. But the issue with all that is that these are building blocks that extend the system that wasn't designed to handle such problems. So right now, the best thing to do is to like be careful, try to double check, see if there is if the address, the Tezos address matches the Tezos address of an artist. Ask the community, like keep in touch with the community while you're collecting. I think these are like best ways to be a little bit safe when you collect. But this is temporary because what I want to implement in the next system is the ability to when someone will post and it will be a new profile, so freshly created profile, there will be a 1 hour delay before the work can be minted. And this 1 hour delay will be crucial because it will give us enough time to flag properly the token and block it on the contract level. So I don't think that there will be the opportunity for scammers to do what they do again. Because when they will create an account and post a work under it, people won't be able to mint, and we will have time as a community to react on those works and flag those. So I think this is going to be quite a robust system when implemented. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the moderator team that is doing an amazing job at moderating the platform, reacting to the community, triggering alerts. They are super reactive. Especially we have Charlie that is is quite the detective. He has some I don't know, trees of addresses to like watch and connect to some Binance account that connects to another Binance account. Like it's quite crazy. I honestly can't follow everything he's doing, but it's an amazing job in the background that probably you see a little bit, but you don't see the full extent of his work on the background. And overall, the whole moderator team is doing an amazing job, like at helping the community have a safer space.
Yeah, it's I'm amazed at how reactive the community is, and I see some people that are part of that moderator team in the audience today. I know Liam Egan's been super helpful. Sam, the Westerner. I've seen. I'm not. I can't even name everybody because there's just so many people that have contributed in just amazing ways to the platform. So if we have a bit of time for questions. If anybody has questions, just request and we can bring you up. If not, we have more things we can definitely talk about, but we want to wrap up by the hour. So, okay.
Okay, if someone has a question in the next 10 minutes, just raise your hands and we're gonna let you in. While I have you, said, oh, okay, we have someone. Perfect.
Yeah, we got one.
Let's introduce yourself first.
Hi, my name is Remy with the Intergalactic Planetary Babies. I just wanted to ask a quick question. Like, how do you guys curate, like, which artists you guys are working with, or which artists can participate, or what collection? How's the curating process done?
Yeah, sure. So the curation is very simple. There is none.
Yeah, anybody can create. It just needs to be in the format of a generative project.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question.
I think there's almost like a natural curation if you're unable to, it's not like super easy to upload a collection. So I think that kind of also acts as a little gatekeeper.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure. there's that. Then it's quite difficult to have something open and still have an easy access system. It's something that I've been working on a lot, and again, we will add more features to make the process easier for everybody. But it's very difficult to like have something open to create generative collections.
Bordeaux. Hello, Bordeaux. You can ask your question.
Hello, the host is live. If I call your name through, thank you guys and girls here to listen to my speech here. Excuse me, I'm so tired because here is 11 o'clock in my country and some interruption because I use VPN. I really new in NFT business, and it's my question about the market here. Is it really good for everyone to join spaces and work here? How is its future? How long we can do this job as I want to see to this as a job and as an artist actually. If I want to introduce myself, I am an electrical engineer and I'm working with my brother who's
If we could like just briefly try to focus the question.
Thanks everyone for joining us. GeNFT Weekly, we will aim to interview more builders in this space and also artists. So if you're interested, reach out to both of us and we can schedule you in for our upcoming chats. Thank you so much, Ciphrd, for taking a break, for doing everything you're doing and chatting with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody who listened. It was a pleasure. Now let's go back to code. See you.
Back
Bye.
to work.